Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Raja Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Raja Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Raja Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Raja Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Antara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhaktavinda ki, Nitai Gaur Pramandari, Shri Radha Gopinanda ki, Sitaram Lakshman Gauritai ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 10, text number 6, Divisions of Creation. Tapasya hi edamanena vidyaya chatma samastitaya vida vigyana bhavalo Naya padvayum sahasmahas tapasahi ardemanena vidya chatmani samastaya virada vigyana balo Naya padvayum sahasmam vasa tapasahi edamanena vidya chatma samastitaya vida vigyano balo naya padvayum samam vasa Anyone else? Mataji's? Word for word. Tapasa, by penance. He certainly, edamanena, increasing. Vidyaya, by transcendental knowledge. Cha, also. Atma, self. Samastya, situated in the self. Vidya, matured. Vigyan, practical knowledge. Bala, power. Nayapat, drunk. Vayum, the wind. Saha ambasa, along with the water. Translation in purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhattan Swami Prabhupada. Long penance and transcendental knowledge of self-realization had matured in Brahma in practical knowledge, and thus he drank the wind completely along with the water. We can repeat after me. Long penance and transcendental knowledge of self-realization had matured in Brahma in practical knowledge, and thus he drank the wind completely along with the water. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Lord Brahma's struggle for existence is a personal example of continued fight between the living entities in the material world and the illusory energy called Maya. Beginning from Brahma down to this age, the living entities are struggling with the forces of material nature. By advanced knowledge in science and transcendental realization, one can try to control the material energy which works against our endeavors. And in the modern age, advanced material scientific knowledge and finance have played very wonderful roles in controlling the powers of the material energy. Such control of the material energy, however, can be most successfully carried out if one is a soul surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and carries out his orders in the spirit of loving devotion service. Narayana namaskritta naram cheva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayat mudirayat nasta prayasu bhadresu nityam bhagavati sevayam bhagavati uttama sloke bhakti bhavati naistaki. So Lord Brahma is showing he says even Brahma's lifespan is much longer than time is relative, but according to our calculation, Brahma's lifespan is very long. He lives for 340 billion years, earthly years. That's his lifespan. And when the end of creation happens, every night Brahma has to go to sleep for a long time. Then he has to reawaken. He has to go through the whole procedure again of praying to the Lord to help him do the creation again. So compared to that, our existence in the material world on the earth planet is not so much of a difficulty compared to what he has to go through. But that for us, it's just, Prabhupada said, when you sleep at night, when you wake up, you don't worry about the nighttime dream. Generally people just forget about the nighttime dream. The daytime is just a longer dream. People take it seriously. But if you really understand you're not the body and you're spirit soul, and you understand you're part and parcel of Krishna, then the material energy will not affect you. Because material energy is part of Krishna energy, so if you use it for Krishna, it becomes spiritual. The struggle is there for those who identify with the body. Srila Prabhupada, he gave many arguments against that towards the scientists. He challenged them. He said, life comes from life doesn't come from matter. And Hamsadutta, one scientist was claiming that life comes from matter. He challenged this scientist, I'll give you $1 million if you can prove life from matter. And he went to the place that the scientist didn't turn up. So that shows how the struggle is there if we go against the laws of God. We go against Krishna's laws, then the struggle comes in. But if we follow God's plan, Krishna's plan, then everything becomes harmonized, everything's harmony. So example of that is how it shows you how for a devotee who surrendered to Krishna, Krishna directly gives inspiration to guide him, and he guides him through the devotees and scriptures. And for those who don't take that guidance, they get affected by the laws of karma. Because this material world is karma bhumi. You suffer good and bad karma. So, there was a devotee, his father was a hunter in America, he used to hunt deers. And the devotee told his father that you shouldn't be doing this is not good for you, you'll get implicated in bad karma. But the father wouldn't listen, so somehow the father had an accident and he died. So it shows how, unfortunately, people in the material world don't want to listen to good advice. And modern day society is ruled by demons because they have even they're changing God's laws. They made man-made laws and they ignore God's laws. So, with this kind of situation, the stringent laws of nature become very strict to rectify the jivas for their own good. So, Lord Brahma himself came down in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes to show the way how to not be affected by the material energy. So he came down as Haridas Thakur, and he was chanting 192 rounds every day, and Maya Devi herself came to test Haridas Thakur. So on the third day, Maya Devi became Haridas Thakur's disciple. She came in a very attractive form to trying to allure Haridas Thakur. But Haridas Thakur took this vow. This is something we can learn from Haridas Thakur, that he took a vow to chant 192 rounds, and he told Maya Devi that unless I finish my vow, I cannot enjoy with you. So just that taking the shelter of the holy name, Haridas Thakur got the potency of making Maya Devi her disciple. So, the examples on how devotees may have weaknesses, but because they turn to Krishna, Krishna helps them overcome their weaknesses. So, there was a devotee in America. He was a pujari in one of the temples in America, and he liked surfing. So Prabhupada said about surfing, he said they're suffering because they think they're enjoying, but they'll become fish in next life. So this devotee had this thing about surfing. He liked to go surfing. So he thought, let me give up this, I can't handle this, I have to go surfing. This pujari service is coming my way of surfing. So he went surfing, he went a bit too out, and the shark was coming towards him. So he prayed to Krishna, if you allow me to survive, I will not surf again, I'll do your service, I'll do the pujari services nicely. So the shark went around in 3 times and just disappeared. Then he came back. So that shows how for someone who's surrendered to Krishna, Krishna guides them personally because he knows what's good for them. And Krishna wanted to teach his devotee a lesson, teaching him that if you go against the material energy, you suffer. And in this way, he wanted to teach him a lesson that even surfing is suffering because you're going against you're training to be a fish in the next life, and you could be eaten by a big fish. So, yeah, so there was a story about Srila Prabhupada. He was going on a morning walk somewhere, and this fisherman saw Prabhupada, and he felt attracted to Srila Prabhupada. And he came to Srila Prabhupada and offered him a fish. And Prabhupada said, "Thank you for the offer, but I don't eat this. This is for you." And then Prabhupada, as he was walking, he said, "You can, by eating this, you can suffer." So people create their own destiny by their own actions. He could have inquired from Srila Prabhupada that what's good for me, what's beneficial for me. But somehow Krishna didn't guide him like that, because he wasn't open for higher knowledge. He just was attracted to Srila Prabhupada walking with his disciples. But his and there are stories about devotees who were sincere, and Krishna guided them towards Srila Prabhupada. There was a story about Prabhupada was giving initiation to devotees, and this devotee came late. So Srila Prabhupada stopped the initiation. So the devotee felt empty, and he started running. He was going to jump off the bridge. And one Mataji, she followed him and she stopped him. She said, "Don't worry, Srila Prabhupada will initiate you." So she took him back to Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada smiled and initiated him. And Prabhupada told him, "There's no need to give up your life. I'm here to help you." So, and then there was many other stories are there, how there was one devotee. He was isolation camp in Siberia or something, and he wasn't conforming to what the security were telling him, because the security, they give you a hard time in these camps. They give you heavy, like. He was just ignoring them. He was just keeping to himself and doing his work, just keeping quiet. And then they thought something's wrong with this person. We should just let him go. And as he was leaving, he saw the Harinam party. And by seeing the Harinam party, he became a devotee. So that shows, because he was thinking inward about understanding who is God, then somehow the Krishna guided these gods in this camp to let him go. Then he saw the devotees and he became a devotee. So the struggle is there for the non-devotees. The struggle for devotees is all positive, because Krishna is behind them. For the non-devotees, the struggle is there because they identifying with the body. And Prabhupada said they want the kingdom of God without God, which is an impossible proposal. So Krishna has made this material world in a way as to make the jiva realize he cannot stay here. And Prabhupada said, even if someone wants to be miserable, he cannot stay, he'll be kicked out. So the material world is a prison house. There is a first class prisoner, second class and third class. So someone may be in gold chains, some in silver chains, some in iron chains. But they're all suffering. Even if someone is very pious, he still has to suffer in the material world. He has to go through birth, death, old age, disease. So, but for the devotees, Krishna is reciprocating. So it's a whole different. They are not part of the material world. Even in the material world, they're entering the spiritual world because they have this rasa with Krishna. So Krishna is very kind if we just learn about him and surrender to him. So we can take the example of the time when Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago. Times were very difficult. Big demons were on the planet who were causing a lot of difficulty to the masses of people. So when Krishna comes, he comes with his associates. And we can see how those who did reciprocate with Krishna, how he was very personal with them. Like for example, Aswatthama, he wanted to kill the last heir of the Kuru dynasty, which was King Pariksit. And as Krishna was going to leave for Dwarka, Uttara was running towards Krishna. And she told Krishna that some fiery arrow is coming towards me. You can kill me, but don't kill my child. So, because of this humility of Uttara, Krishna showed himself to Maharaj Pariksit in the womb. He showed himself as he was protecting Maharaj Pariksit. And then you can see how soon after, as Krishna was going to leave, Queen Kunti comes in and she starts offering these prayers to Krishna. These prayers of King Kunti were actually recorded by Srila, they were recorded on video. There is no other prayers recorded like this. Srila Prabhupada was going deep into the prayers of King Kunti, and then after that, as Krishna was going to leave, he went to see Maharaj Yudhishthira. And Maharaj Yudhishthira requested Krishna to stay for a few more days. So on the request of Maharaj Yudhishthira, Krishna stayed. So we can see how Krishna is he likes to reciprocate with his devotees. And then just before leaving, after leaving Hastinapur, Krishna is asking Maharaj Yudhishthira that, can I leave now? Now, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that aham sarvasapo matam sarvapravartite iti mata bhajanti buddha bhava samavita, that I am the source of all the material and spiritual world. Everything emanates from me. And those who know this engage in my devotional service. So Krishna he owns everything. He's the supreme enjoyer. So why does he have to ask Maharaj Yudhishthira to leave? So that shows how Krishna likes to reciprocate with his devotees. And then when Krishna is going to go to the residents of Dwarka, missing Krishna because they can see how in Hastinapur they're keeping the devotees are keeping Krishna there, so they're in separation. So when Krishna blows the conch, Panchajanya conch, then the resident Dwarka wake up, they understand Krishna is coming. So the same reciprocation Krishna gave 5,000 years ago to his devotees, the same reciprocation is here also now. There's no... the teachings of the parampara are perfect. So if you follow those teachings and we hear the sound vibration of the teachings of the spiritual masters, Srila Prabhupada, and we take those teachings seriously, then that same reciprocation which Krishna gave 5,000 years ago, we can feel even now. The only difference is, in the material world, things change. Nothing stays same. So, Prabhupada said the material world is a place of enemies. There's always enemies against you. This material energy, like Prabhupada says, how the scientists created a material atom bomb, they created such control material energy, how, the Prabhupada comments about the scientists creating. There was an instance with Srila Prabhupada in Los Angeles. One man was coming towards Prabhupada and he was going to hit Prabhupada, and Prabhupada stopped him. Prabhupada said, "Stop just now." And he pointed to Brahmana, he said, "These are my disciples, they will harm you if you do anything." Then Prabhupada tried to give the man transcendental knowledge. He said, "Do you understand who is Krishna? And do you understand the temporary nature of the material world and how everything changes very quick?" The man just walked out. He didn't listen, he just walked out. So that shows from this example how devotees are very merciful. They're trying to uplift others to the higher platform, to connect them to Krishna. But unfortunately, the material world is such a place that people are affected by the modes of nature. And they are not willing to hear the transcendental vibration to come to the spiritual platform, but they are attached to their material attachments. And Prabhupada explains that if you're attached to material things, this will cover your spiritual vision. So this is the material energy, how it works. It makes the living entity attached to material things. But for the devotee, if he sees everything for Krishna's service, then everything becomes spiritualized. So everything becomes spiritualized for a devotee because he's got Krishna's protection. So the example can be given just like if someone had a multi-billionaire as his friend, and with a click of his fingers all the problems are solved. Who would not like to have such a friend? So that friend is Krishna. If you take shelter of him, then all our problems are gone. Only thing is, we have to learn not to identify with matter. We have to identify that we are not this body. So Prabhupada said that's the beginning of spiritual life. When you understand you're not this body. He says there are two kinds of soul killers in this world. One who thinks he's the body and one who kills animals. So for these two kind of people, they cannot understand Krishna consciousness. So, and that's mentioned in other scriptures also, same thing. Like Jesus, he mentions, what's the use of gaining all the world if you lose your immortal soul? So, we can see as far as like 2025 is coming in, you can see difficulties happening in the material world according to laws of karma, how people are going about their way of life. But we can see even in a situation like this, devotees are happy, they're blissful. They're not affected with the outside energy so much. For those who are practicing, we can see how Krishna is protecting them. Krishna's name is Bhuta Brit, he's the protector of all living entities. But for those who don't surrender to him and don't serve his devotees, for them, they create their own destiny by their own actions and they get implicated in karma. In modern day society, people have taken karma out of the equation. They're just taking it out. But that doesn't mean karma doesn't exist. And so for the devotees, they're doing akarma activities, activities without any reaction. And then within the category of devotees, there are other transcendentalists, the yogis, they want to attain mystic powers, jnanis, they want to go to the Brahman, the karmis, that's into the work of doing work in passion. But for the devotees, because they're taking shelter of Krishna in line of devotional service, the struggles they are going through is not like the outside struggles of the people in the material world. Because for the devotees, this life is their last life. And even if they have to take birth again, Krishna will put them in a position where they'll be put in a better position where they can come back to him. So, Prabhupada mentioned in teaching Queen Kunti, he says, the ant is doing his dog digging a hole in a wall. People are building skyscrapers, and Lord Brahma is making a universe. Same thing what Brahma is doing, same mentality. They're trying to be the creator. They're trying to be this. But if we can learn to see everything for Krishna's pleasure, then even in this lifetime we are in the spiritual world. So one of Srila Prabhupada's quotes, he mentions an interesting point. He says, for Krishna, whether he lives in the material world or the spiritual world, there is no difference. And he gives the example how Krishna is in the heart of a hog and is in the heart of a dog. But Krishna doesn't get contaminated because he's living in a spiritual Vaikuntha planet. He's living in a spiritual bubble. So, we can enter that spiritual bubble also as devotees if we take shelter of the holy name, see through the eyes of scriptures, do everything for Krishna's pleasure. And then we have entered the spiritual world. Because Krishna doesn't live in the past or he doesn't live in the future, he lives in the present. People dwell on the past and they dwell on the future. So they're affected by lamentation and hankering and lamentation. But for the devotees who are serious practitioners, they live in the present because they're connecting with Krishna. So there's an interesting verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's in Kamana Kanamana Sabetanya Das Ye Namana Te Ye Se Papanas. Some accept him whereas others do not, yet everyone is his servant. One who does not accept him, however, will be ruined by his simple activities. So, everyone is serving Krishna, directly or indirectly. It's like Prabhupada gives an example, in the state laws, even the prisoners are looked after by the government. They get supplied medicines and whatever they need. But they're just being, under punishment, they're being looked after. But for those who are following government laws, they have law of freedom. They have law of freedom to do many things. Any comments or questions? Okay. Any mic is there? His mic is coming.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, in the translation it says the Lord Brahma drank the wind completely along with the water. Do you know anything? Could you explain that?
Prabhupada doesn't comment on that. Doesn't comment on that one.
Yeah.
Well, there's a pastime of Brahma which happened. This is in Mayapur. There's a deity of Hamsa Bhavan. Lord Shiva's bull couldn't go so fast. So Lord Shiva got the swan of Brahma. He went there fast to Mayapur to hear the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. So, these kind of things are hard to understand, but again, I'm just giving you an example on this point how, like Lord Shiva got on the swan of Brahma, he came fast to... So it's hard to conceive these things, It's hard to even fathom them to how it happens, but there's a higher realm of reality we can't perceive.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the class. My question is about, you mentioned prayers of Queen Kunti and that they're the only recorded prayers. I was just wondering what you meant by that.
Well, I heard Radhanath Swami was saying this, that also they wrote in a book form, but they videoed also, I think. Radhanath Swami was saying that. I heard in one of his lectures. Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada, I think they videoed some of the lectures, something like that. But there were no other lectures videoed like that. So Prabhupada was open to the Queen Kunti's prayers. You have something, anyone else? Vishal?
Hare Krishna, thank you. You were saying how everyone is a servant, whether directly or indirectly. So how can we see that those that are not serving directly, how can we see that they're serving Krishna directly?
Well, they're under material energy, isn't it? It's like Prabhupada gives example of the prisoners, they're serving government ultimately, by force. They're under punishment, isn't it? So even in material world, everyone is serving Krishna ultimately, but they're just under the material energy. They're going through punishment. It's like I heard when they offer prasad for pinda, right? Now that's to help the forefathers come out of their suffering condition, right? And that prasad offered to Lord Vishnu, if the forefathers don't accept it, I heard this from one of the devotees in Mayapur, he told a story. Forefathers don't accept our prasad, then the forefathers who don't accept our prasad, then the place where they are suffering, Yamaraj takes the umbrella and shoes away, and they suffer they suffer from the hot sun. So it seems like if someone turns to Krishna, then his suffering is reduced. He overcomes the suffering. But someone who goes against that, he suffers more to get purified, to learn his lesson.
Serving Krishna by indirectly. I mean, that's a vision of a Mahabhagavad, really, isn't it? We don't see that, so that's why we preach. We don't really see them serving Krishna, so then we give them the opportunity, we preach. But the Mahabhagavad sees everyone serving Krishna. So yeah, it's a difficult vision to have unless you're on that level. But we preach, we give them the opportunity to take up devotional service and become devotees themselves. So I would say
Yes, please. Just to say that in terms of serving Krishna indirectly, like just an example that comes to mind is Duryodhana. That Duryodhana was completely against Krishna, but he still serves Krishna's purpose by he helped to rid the earth of the burden.
Yeah, Radhanath Maharaj comments on that. He says, everyone who participated in this Battle of Kurukshetra event, because of Krishna's presence, they all went back to Godhead. And Maharaj says, and Krishna orchestrated this pastime for the future people in general. When they read this pastime, they can also become purified. So Krishna has a plan. But the ones who serve Krishna directly, they get more benefit. One who serve indirectly, they'll get more purified over time. Like that. Yeah. Any questions on this side? No. Antara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,